Hey there, it's Richie and Alex with Stellar Pinball. This is the Flying Falcon Mod video instructions. Let's start with what's in the box. So, cable ties. This is the wiring harness, power wire. We have the motion control unit, the mounting base assembly, some mounting screws. Over here we have the spotlight housing and mount. And last down here we have the Falcon engine module. Tools required: needle nose pliers, some flush cuts for cutting the cable ties, 5/16 wrench, and a number 1 Phillips screwdriver. Okay, for the installation, the first thing you'll want to do is remove your lockdown bar, then the glass, and take the balls out of the game. And we're going to start with the playfield up. We're going to be here at your node board that's at the front of the machine on the left side. So here's the power cable. This plug is going to plug into CN11, which is right here. Now, if you're going to install more than one mod, like we are in this machine, you can get this splitter board that's designed and built by Stumbler Pinball. This board is available on our website or on his website. So you can see we've got the splitter board plugged into CN11. If this is the only mod that you're going to install, then this plug would plug into CN11 right there. Since we have multiple, we're going to plug it in right here. And just be careful that you actually get it on fully on the pins. It's really easy to get it off by one, so just double check that. And then I'm going to take and just tuck the wire into the mounts right there. And we'll just put this back there for now. All right, now we've got the playfield back down in the forward maintenance position on the rubber feet. Now what we want to do is remove the Falcon. So I've got my 5/16 end wrench. If you just loosen this nut several turns, you can get it loose enough to just slide forward like I've done here. And if we flip it over, we can see the spotlight. And we'll just remove this nut. Okay. And pull the spotlight off, and we're just going to set this aside. We'll mount this again later. And then there's a washer on the stud that we want to take off. All right. Now we'll need a Phillips screwdriver. We're going to remove this screw right here that's holding the engine LED on. There's a little black spacer on the back of that too, and that'll probably just fall inside the Falcon. We can get it out later. Okay, pull that screw out, and if I lift this up, you can see the black washer right there. I'll take that out. Okay, for the next couple of steps, it's easiest to take your Falcon to a workbench or a table. What we're going to do here is I'm going to use my screwdriver and just push on that engine insert. It's a little bit stiff at the beginning there, so we'll slide that guy out. Okay, we'll take these 3 mounting screws out. Okay, now we'll just remove the mounting bracket, and then we've got the Falcon engine module here. What we'll do is turn this Falcon over in this orientation, and the engine module in this orientation, you can tell because it's got this detail on the top, and it's also got these little spikes. So what we're going to do now is insert the wire in that slot like that, and then we need to snap the module in. So you can either line this corner up and push this side in first, or if it's a little snug, you can actually back it off to the side just a little bit. It makes it a little easier, and then slide it to that position so these line up right there. And then the last step, push this side in. You should hear it snap. And I like to kind of press on the top and make sure it's fully seated. So that looks good right there. Now we've got the Falcon flipped back over on the back side, and here's the wire from the engine module. And I've got the motion control unit here. So we're going to plug the engine module into the motion control unit, and you can see the wire colors I've got oriented here. So I'm just going to snap that in, make sure it's fully seated. Now, as I move this over to the center, you can see I'm going to tuck that wire assembly and the connector in to the Falcon. What I want is I want it to live over here on the side. It would be really bad to have the wire underneath this pivoting assembly, so we want to make sure it ends up over here. So I've got that tucked in. Now the next thing I want to do is to insert the motion control unit. I need to do it on the rear side first with a bit of an angle, you can see right there. So I'm going to tuck that under like that and then push the front down. Now you can see it's flat against the Falcon. Now you can either put the 3 screws in at this point, or you can kind of hold the flange down with your thumb like I'm doing there, and just gently move the motion control unit back and forth. You're just checking to make sure that wire's not pinched and that it's moving freely. You shouldn't feel any resistance at all on that. Now I've got my 3 mounting screws here that came with the mod. They're shorter so that they don't interfere with the wire. The original screws are much longer and could potentially touch the wire. So I'll just put these 3 in. Okay, I've got the 3 mounting screws in. Now at this point you could do one last check to make sure it's moving freely. The only slight resistance you're going to feel is just from the servo, but it should move very, very smoothly, and you can see the wires down in there. It's tucked in on this side over here, and that's what we want. The next step is to mount the spotlight. And so we've got our little spotlight mount here. It's already got a fastener in it with 2 plastic washers. So we're going to loosen that and try not to drop those in the machine. And I'll set him down here for a second. So what we want is a washer on each side of this spotlight flange. So I've got one on the head already. I've got the second one here. We'll put that on. And then on the flat side of this mount, so this side is the side that goes on the wire form. On the flat side of that mount, we want to attach our spotlight. Okay. Now because it has a washer on each side, I can tighten this down pretty good and adjust the position later. Now we've got our spotlight housing. Makes it look a little nicer. To put that on, I'll just take the bulb out real quick. And the end that's got the ring on it is the end that goes out. So I'm going to slide that over the housing like that, or over the bulb mount. Now I can just slide this back in, twist and lock it. Okay, there we go. Now, as far as the location for this assembly, it's going to go right here on this curved section. And the easiest way to locate it is just directly in the center of these 2 wire form supports. And I'm going to hook it on one side first, and then I'm just going to push up on the back and snap it on, like that. And I'm going to scoot it back just a little bit so it's centered. Now, since that screw is tight, I can just rotate the spotlight until it's pointing at the Death Star, just like that. For the next step, we've got our mounting plate assembly here. And on the back side, you'll see this feature with a screw in it. That is the cover for what used to be the Falcon engine light. And we're going to use this to tell the microcontroller when to turn on the engine. So what we want to do is remove this screw, and I'm going to set that aside so I don't lose it. And I'm going to set the base aside. Okay, and we need to prepare this this board here a little bit. So what we want to do is carefully bend these wires down straight, and you're going to end up with a little extra wire on the orange side. So what I'm going to do is just kind of push it down, put just a little bit of a loop in the bottom there, if you can see that. That's how we want to end up. Now we'll take our little housing here, and I'm gonna push it over the circuit board. The wires are gonna come out the little slot right there. And this is what it looks like on the other side. Okay, so you can see the wires coming out through the slot on that little housing. And I've got our mounting base here, and there's where the hole is that the light will go through. And then here's the brass insert for the screw. So I'm going to take this and put this right on top, kind of line that up there. And I've got the hole lined up. So we'll put the screw right through that hole, and my screwdriver. And this just needs to be snug. You don't want to get too crazy with the torque on that. That's kind of what it's going to look like there. Okay, that is finished. That's what that looks like. Now we want to mount this base plate assembly onto this loop of the wire form. So what I'm going to do is take this clamp plate off. It's got 2 fasteners on it. A little bit more. Okay. Now that mounts just like that. And I'm going to put this plate on top. Okay, and I'm just going to snug these up. You don't have to get crazy with the torque on this one either. We just want them to be good and snug. Okay, just like that. All right, so we've got the plate field forward, and here is the power wire with the voltage regulator housing. I went ahead and put 2 cable ties through the slots on that voltage regulator. And what we're going to do is wire tie it to this bundle right here. That's right below the handle on the back side of the backboard. So I'm going to loop my wire tie around here. There's one. Get the other one. Okay. Just tighten those up a little bit. And this just gives the voltage regulator a place to live. And trim those off. And I want to add one more cable tie on my power wire. It's just kind of hanging here, so what I'm going to do is bring it over here and wire tie it somewhere around here just so it's a little cleaner. Okay. Okay, for the next step we need our wiring harness here. And we're going to take this end with the 3 conductor plug and we're going to insert it through the backboard. And we're going to do that right here under the TIE Fighter loop. There's a slot right underneath that. And we're going to take this plug and just push it through there. Now you'll see on the front side there's a bit of a lip there, so you kind of have to work a little bit to get it to pop down. Okay, there it is. Okay, coming out through there. Now as far as the length of the wire, the easiest way to gauge that is to take the plug all the way up to the base here, and that gives you just the perfect amount of wire. So just a little bit more. I'm feeding it through the back at the same time. Okay, so there's our length that we want. Now I can take and just tuck that under this wire form like that, and that'll hold it in place. And then I'm going to put just a little bit of a bend on the end. That's where it's going to plug into the motion control unit. Now we're going to plug our wiring harness into the wire that's coming out of the voltage regulator. So plug these two guys in. Oops, a little bit more. There we go. Snap that all the way in. Okay, now our yellow wire is going to attach onto this yellow wire. This is the opto for the hyperspace loop. So, and pull that wire out a little bit so I've got some room there. And then here is the T-splice. And we're going to clip that right on the yellow wire, like so. And then close it. You can grab a pair of needle nose pliers and just give that a little squeeze and make sure it's firmly connected. Okay. So the last step here is we want to plug the motion control unit into our wiring harness, and that just plugs in the side. Just make sure it's fully seated like that. Now to attach it to the base, you just let the magnets locate it and lock it down like so. So when you power up your machine, you will see it go into the homing sequence. And you'll also notice that because this machine is in attract mode right now, this engine only lights up when the old LED that was powering the Falcon lights up. So it matches the game lighting. So if you want to double check the function, the easy way to do is just open the coin door and close it again, and that will cycle power to the node board and will reset the home on the Falcon. And there you go. Okay, well that's the installation. So from Richie and Alex at Stellar Pinball, we really hope you enjoyed this mod. Thanks for watching.